Welcome gamers to Last Call Gaming, the weekly gaming news show that keeps you up to date on all things video games. And on today's episode, guys, here's a look at what we're discussing. But as always, guys, there's all that and more. So if you want to hang out, grab yourself a beer and let's talk games. Welcome gamers to Last Call Gaming. We are on episode 30. My name is Craig Perales, and the man that always looks good in the Red Ribbon Army sweatshirt is Mandrew Montemayor.
It's kind of disgusting because I will be 30 next year. So,
well, it's better than being 32. So, Andrew, how was your Thanksgiving? We're just getting off of Thanksgiving break, guys. Our last one was a short episode. This episode, we're gonna try to keep them short and compacted on the way to Christmas. But I do want to know how your holiday weekend was.
It's pretty good. Ate a lot, and I got a couple cool things. And then I just spent a lot of time playing games after I was done cooking. Things? Yeah, I got a sound bar, most importantly, for that front room, for my fucking TV in the front room.
Any particular brand or?
It's an LG, and it actually matches my TV, and which is cool, is because my universal remote works for it, so I only have to use one remote for all my shit. So that was my big thing. I was like, fucking first world problem. I gotta use two fucking remotes.
I know Gino has to do that with his TVs in his game room.
Dude, that would have got fucking real quick. That now I'm just like, oh man, this is way cool.
Nice.
So,
anything else pop off?
I got about a blender for my smoothies.
Love it.
I fucking broke my other one.
And I do want to say, guys, we are drinking Lagunitas, and this is a little something.
Just
never had
something.
It. What is it? 7.5.
That's about what I'd rate it.
It smells kind of skunky though, so I was kind of nervous getting into it. But it's actually not too bad, but it's not too good either, right?
I think I'm feeling a little woozy. How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was good. I actually did two. I did one with Denny and Sherry at their house, and I did one here. And Black Friday, I didn't really do much. I bought one thing on Black Friday because I have all the smart TVs I need. I went and bought Control, which was a really fun game. Beat it in 2 days, returned it, and I was just like, I guess that was a free game.
Let us know if you guys got any cool comeuppance.
Yeah, tell me what your Black Fridays were, because usually we go out of our way and I go get TVs, I get whatever, but I'm pretty content.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty stocked right now.
Hopefully you guys had a happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you guys were safe. And hopefully you maybe came up on some cool electronics. Maybe a Cyber Monday deal. But guys, we are here to talk about Resident Evil 3. Now, Andrew, is it a Resident Evil 3 remake, or are they just calling it Resident Evil 3?
It's going to be Resident Evil 3, probably remake, the same way Resident Evil 2 remake is. And I really wish that, because everyone knows what it's called, that they would just call it like...
Remake?
Just call it remake, and then...
I was thinking Resident Evil 3.
Have that 3 in there. Or Resident Evil and then remake, but the E is a 3 would be kind of cool. So I saying Resident Evil...
And something like that's going to kind of sneak it.
Then again, they got to throw Nemesis in there somehow.
So the game, right, because we kind of wanted to talk about it last week.
Yeah, we want to talk about it last week.
Leaked this week. So what more launched versus last week that makes it kind of more of a bigger story?
So last week was more just, it was kind of making the rounds. A lot of people were talking about it because it is kind of about that time. There's lots of grumblings that they were working on this game shortly a little bit after Resident Evil 2 and kind of at the same time as Resident Evil 2. And I'm sure they're both going to use the same engines and maybe even reuse some assets like zombies and stuff. I'm sure it's a lot easier for them to go in there and switch stuff.
A nice template to start with.
Yeah, kind of at this level. Yeah, especially with the Control. They have the camera frame figured out, how the guns and all that stuff work. So all the hard stuff's out of the way, and then just take that in transition would be a lot easier. But actually what's come up now is... some people data mined the PSN store, because if you're going to put anything up on the store, there has to be a template. There has to be something there. And there is a full-blown cover for Resident Evil 3 Remake.
Which is showing the pretty much the still frame of the Nemesis, Jill, and Carlos, correct?
Right, the Nemesis, Jill, and Carlos, with, of course, the new ways that they look, and we'll get into that too. But also kind of another giver is because it's going to look like what the title, or the cover art of the game is going to be unless they change it, is towards the bottom, there's actually kind of like this, you see Raccoon City like on fire, kind of lit up, or, you know, whatever. But it's along the lines of, if you were to put it next to Resident Evil 2, where it looks the same, because on Resident Evil 2 Remake's cover, it is like a darker color, blue, black, whatever, and then it fades to the city down at the bottom, and so people were putting the picture side by side to where it would make like the frame.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong though. So, because I haven't played 3 since obviously back in the day, so the new one that's coming out, this is a game that takes place after number 1, but isn't it before number 2?
It takes place after 1, and it takes place at the same time as during 2.
Okay, so they're kind of corresponding.
Yeah, and
timelines.
I think maybe 2, maybe it finishes a little bit sooner than what 3. 3 maybe goes a little bit further into the city up until like the nuke strikes it or whatever. 3 is actually the one that I beat in the least.
Okay.
But I do know that much.
Now, is this the... Okay, so Capcom is in this beautiful like renaissance resurgence of these titles, these IPs that are coming out. They're doing... Right, they did fantastic work with making Resident Evil 2 come out.
Running for Game of the Year.
Was the logical choice to make a Resident Evil 3?
I think so, because one already got the remake treatment, and that's also been ported to the GameCube, and then it was, or not ported, the remake was for the GameCube, and now it's on like every console ever, and that game is absolutely beautiful. It's gorgeous. It is stunning. And 2 and 3 also needed that treatment, because those games on the PlayStation, yeah, you can go back and play them, and I'm sure they still maybe hold that sentiment to you, but they did not age well. I don't think they look well. And personally, I prefer the new controller scheme versus the fixed camera angles. I think fixed camera angles are a thing of the past, and I know some people say that that is what creates survival horror, and I don't think that that is the case.
Right, the argument's to be made that that's not a defining element.
Yeah, shitty tank controllers that make the game harder or whatever, that's what makes it more difficult, is because the controls are wonky and a little bit hard to learn, even though I speedran Resident Evil Remake, because once you learn it, and you can do whatever, like, I don't think that that's necessarily what makes the game. So I'm glad that they weren't afraid to break the mold, because that's something a lot of people, because Resident Evil Remake, the original for GameCube, and Resident Evil 0, which use like the same engine, are, you know, classic. You can only see the fixed camera angles. When your person's aiming, you can't tell what you're aiming at or whatever.
So, is this one of those things, though, where are they piggybacking off the coattails of how well a Resident Evil 2 did? Or do you think... Because I'm under the impression, because Resident Evil 2 came out in January, right? Which, well, we're ready
like
for
January,
it.
February,
Played
yeah.
it. This game's being announced the end of December. So, I mean, it's within the year, which is odd that they're already announcing it. My impression is that, were they already working on this when maybe a 2 was already in the works?
That is the big rumor, is that they were working on it at the same time, and I don't see why not, because they take place in the same area.
But if it was a hit, though, I mean, if Resident Evil 2 wasn't well received, and they're already kind of knee deep in number 3, would it be a throwaway, you think? Or do you think they know what they had?
I think they probably started it late, and maybe they knew what they had, especially based off of pre-order numbers before it's done. And I'm sure they had some work on there. Maybe even if it was halfway, maybe they planned it out at that, to where, okay, once we find out the numbers on this game, we'll be halfway done with this one, to where we could scrap it to where we're not 2 in the hole, or we can still make these changes. And with the runaway success that 2 was...
Yeah. And the other big thing that we obviously have to talk about is the fact that the concept art, because I don't know if they're defining this as the actual, you know, official poster or image of it, but Jill and Carlos have complete remakes as well as the Nemesis. And one of the big things, and I'm sure Andrew will have his version of the point, is I don't know if I care for the remake design, because Jill looks a lot like, she doesn't look similar. But I take it in the vein of, okay, Tomb Raider was a reboot, right? So they revamped her look. This isn't a reboot. This is a remake of 3. So I would assume that they would make the same character look alike, because I know we were talking about it earlier. Leon still looks like Leon from Resident Evil 2. Claire, I get that now there's models and actors and stuff like that, so there's a little more definition, a little more into it. But Leon is still Leon. He doesn't look completely different as a new character.
I think it's the same thing.
Or am I looking at that as too wide of a thing? Is that...
No, it's the same thing as when 2 came out. Like 2, a lot of people thought, okay, Leon looks more like Leon. But when you actually like look at Claire, she looks a lot different than the Claire that you're used to. The Claire from, I don't want to say like she's fat, but she's not crazy skinny like Claire is or anything like that. She's not like super sticked in or like Claire from like Code Veronica or anything like that. And I actually personally wasn't too fond of the new Claire until I played the game, and I absolutely love it. I think it's great.
What's the other image out that's out with Jill?
So there's a second,
one looks good you showed me, and the other one I was just kind of like
So with the cover art, you can see Carlos. Carlos looks fine. I think he looks a lot better. I think he looks a lot more distinguished for like who he is. The Nemesis,
like established. We'll talk about Nemesis.
Yeah, we'll talk. Well, yeah, we'll get into Nemesis after. But I didn't think Jill looks that good. But there's another image, and I don't know if it's from a trailer because there is another leaked image that shows like the Nemesis's foot. You can see his trench coat, his hand coming down, and a tentacle coming out. And you see like I think it's a car on fire in the distance. So it looks like it's ripped from a trailer,
right?
Which would obviously be prepped if this is something that's going on the PSN store. And so there's a side shot of Jill that looks a lot better. I think it looks way better than what that cover art is. And some people even took it, I think a little too, I think it looks the same, but he says it's not. But someone went, I think I have the guy's name. CJ Melendez on Twitter actually went to the company that Capcom uses for their model agency for Resident Evil 2 and found someone and did like as best you could like online
like a scale of it, right?
Like measurements or scales of her face. And there's another girl who looks almost just like her, except her hair's not as long.
Like the jawline and the ear frame and the
lips.
Yeah,
he even did like the eyes.
Because it's picture perfect and good. I mean, the reason I think this is moving in the right direction and getting kudos to Capcom is this looks more realistic setting, right? This looks like it's a thing where Resident Evil is now moving into the here and now, versus just being a zombie horror game. Like this is now like I'm going to play the adventure of these guys, and if they're going to keep doing after the success, I don't think it's talked about enough. Resident Evil 2, if nobody's paying attention, was a really good remake, ground up, almost Game of the Year contender.
Absolutely.
Of a game. And
I've seen people online that are hardcore fan. I'm a hardcore fan.
I know, you loved it. And I hate that I haven't played it yet. Like it's on the back burner.
And I'm someone that thinks that I would not be, as someone, I'm like, create new games, create new stuff, don't go back and do IP. I think there's something that needed it, and it was done so well that I'm excited for 3. I don't think that they should do 4. Code Veronica could use it because Code Veronica is another fixed camera angle, but I think they should even go back and do number 1.
That's
the way they do this.
I was gonna ask you. I'm like, again, with like 3 was the next choice, I guess, if you're gonna follow the the timeline and the chronology of it. But yeah, 1 needs it. 4 doesn't need it because 4 we lived in a time where there was the start of that trend. There's a good version of 4 out, so if you want to play it, you can. And the fact that they're doing number 3 it just lends itself to go, okay, let's do our Code Veronicas. Let's do our... Because aren't there a couple of other ones that are on, like, a Dreamcast or...
Code Veronica was one for Dreamcast, and it's also on PlayStation. And then there's the Outbreak games, which were the online multiplayers, which... Who knows how this lines up, and who knows what Project Resistance is. Maybe this is something that's launching at the same time, or maybe Project Resistance is a multiplayer aspect of this game for those people who are craving something like that. Because in Project Resistance, it has the Tyrant, and I'm sure it could probably have something like the Nemesis in it.
So let's get into the Nemesis. So I'm looking at this thing, and you can tell that they took their time with this thing. This is not the Nemesis of old. This thing has depth to it. This thing looks like an experiment gone wrong. This looks like... I more look at it in terms of this is where the original Biohazard comes from versus the Resident Evil term from Japan. He looks twisted.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't look like someone who's just thrown together a bunch of different things anymore. He's actually one of his biggest traits that it kind of threw me off at first. I didn't like it, but now I kind of do because I think it's more unsettling. Is his nose is like completely like
a jar.
So now it's kind of more semblance of. Like, there was a person there. And so that what might be really cool is because I always love finding those diaries and reading about, what they did to people or people's experiences and stuff like that. So that lore and finding out, I got experimented on. Or, the most popular one is always Itchy Tasty, which is from the original Resident Evil. And it's some guy who works for Umbrella. And then there's the infection. And then he's writing about, I'm scratching my skin. The clumps are coming off. I don't know why. I'm craving flesh. I ate somebody. And then that's the last thing he put in there is something Itchy Tasty. And so finding out the stories of what happened to these people, these tragic stories, or who knows, maybe there's someone who you feel might deserve it. I think I can lend a lot more now to something that looks like it used to be a human versus something that's just like slapped together.
Yeah. It's not just it's not just the end game boss that's thrown together and go, hey, here's the hulking monster you have to fight. This thing looks like it has its own story, which it did in the original one, but this one looks like it tells a tale. But caught my eye, and I don't know, I haven't heard anybody really bring this up. His teeth are so long and like piano keyed. Does he not remind you of Joker in The Killing Joke? He's got like that piano smile, and I was looking at him like, damn, like
his teeth have always been big, but the old ones
like
were like
long and rectangular and like inch and a half.
Yeah, his new one are more like piano key versus like Gary Busey's teeth is what the other like. I seen someone put an image of Gary Busey next to like
did they? I mean, you can't help it. You can't help it.
But yeah, I mean, and it's cool showing that they're not just sticking to a classic design too, because they just put out Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, I think, like 2-3 years ago, and that has the Nemesis in it, and the Nemesis in that is actually one of the best looking characters in a game, where everything else was kind of looking very like
So let me ask you this: the game's coming out, right? So we got our RE3 coming out. I mean, have they rumored a launch date? Do we know if it's going to be like
No one else has really said anything else. No one's really said anything on it. This is all from people like data mining stuff. The only person who has come out and said anything, which is kind of a bummer if you were looking forward to it, would be Geoff Keighley said that Resident Evil 3 is not set to appear, and he could be lying, at the Game Awards, and that nothing from the Game Awards as part of his show has leaked yet. I mean, which leaves more excitement, like, oh shit, what else could he be showing? But that would have been something really, really cool to see. But later on, when we get to our other riffs, I still have hope for other venues of where we could see this game, at least a reveal. And if they revealed it this month, I don't think that they would. I think it's the kind of game that would garner its sales if they were like, hey, we're going to put this. I think not January, but February. We'll put it out in February. I think it would instantly get all the pre-orders, all the sales, anything.
That fast?
I don't think that it would, but I think it is a game that could. I think maybe.
You think that far along though that it's almost that done?
That's how they did the last one. They showed it, and I think it was out in like 6 months. So I think like 6 months from now, we'll definitely be playing this. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Let me ask you this though. So Resident Evil 2, right? Obviously, it took liberties and did a couple things. Like the police station's a little different, right? There's is it like stairs or something that are a little different?
Oh, like even in the beginning, the stairs from the middle. It's not that ladder anymore.
Is there something with number 3 you think they can do that would stand out to you as being like, okay, cool. I'm glad they not changed it, but maybe made it better. Because I can't remember number 3 to go, oh yeah, that would be the thing. But I know you're more of a
I think if they maybe
RE
took
guy.
more liberties with the city, instead of them being just like, it's just, that's what I remember about the old
corridor.
It's a lot of corridory stuff. And I don't mind some of that. You can't obviously go into every building, but if it felt like every building was different, or something's going on, or something's happening, or whatever, or maybe I would like if you ran into other people, even if they die, which I would expect them to, or something like that. And they would probably, I would imagine, with what they did with Mr. X, maybe make the Nemesis be hunting you down a lot more, be this stalking fucking
more
thing
intimidating.
than what it.
Do you think they'll cross-reference the stories instead of making them standalones? And even though they're part of the same storyline, maybe they'll throw in like not Easter eggs or something along the lines where like, hey man, I just played number 2. Oh shit, 3 references.
I think that would be kind of cool.
I think that'd be a good thing to do.
Some of the things that they maybe show do like a little bit of cross reference. Yeah. So either way, I would like that, and maybe I felt like. I don't know what to expect.
Exactly. I think at this point we're under the influence that we got this leaked. I know some people were kind of mad of how it got leaked. Weren't they saying it had to have come from like, I don't want to say like a developer or a player, but the images are out. We've seen them. Now we can talk about it. I mean, what else is there to think about in terms of what the game might offer? I mean, do you think it's going to be, because the original one was what? A 2-player campaign, Jill and Carlos?
No, it's just Jill, and I think you can take different varying paths, or not varying paths, but during like when you're fighting the Nemesis, you can choose to fight the Nemesis or like jump off into like an alley or something like that. But I think you still kind of go to whatever. But yeah, but it's not a branching path from what I remember.
So I don't know. Looking forward to it. It is interesting that RE2 remake was announced in January. We're already getting leaks of this in December. What you're pegging it for? What? Mid-summer next year?
I'm gonna say maybe like in April.
Yeah. So guys, what do you guys think? Andrew, is there anything else you want to jump on before we move on?
No, I don't have too much for that else. I mean, that was kind of the big story for this week, and that's something that
I know you've been looking forward to.
I'm extremely excited.
Andrew sent me tons of things. I was just like, man, I love that Capcom's moving forward with this, and it just makes sense. Like, there's nothing to critique it in terms of like a negativity. Like, it's the right move. Arguably, is it the right game they should do? But I don't see why they wouldn't do 3 next.
Yeah, and that's something maybe they could have done too, and then done. Because after 7 was so different with the first person.
Way different.
First person out in the bayous. There's no zombies or anything. That I love 2 more than 7, and 7 was really great, especially after 6. And I'm more excited for this than anything, and hopefully it's a step back in the right direction. Not to say 7 was wrong, but after what they did, I don't know what they're gonna do next. That I'm really excited for, and not to mention they're putting out stuff like this, Devil May Cry, Monster Hunter World.
Yeah,
they're just putting out
hammering it,
mad hits, and I'm glad to see them back in the best way possible.
Excellent. So guys, if you are looking for the Resident Evil, let us know your thoughts. Let us know your opinions. Let us know if you think that's the proper game to do next. Let us know your journey through RE2, because it's easily said that that's probably one of the best, besides maybe Link's Awakening. The best remake of the last decade.
It's a remake the way remake should be.
Exactly.
Done.
But yeah. So let us know your opinion, guys. So guys, let's move into just a little riff, and Andrew's gonna start us off because he's big dogging around here. So
my first riff is actually, it's been the 25th anniversary of the PlayStation. And they also just took home the Guinness World Record for the best-selling video game brand ever. Of course, from Guinness.
And they beat out Nintendo?
Yeah. And this is 25 years from their launch date, which was just the other day, December 3rd, 1994. And they've sold over 450 million units. And so that's crazy. And I never really thought about it either. I maybe thought in my head, like, Nintendo is so much further as a brand. But I guess not.
Apparently. So, and again,
and I actually should have looked up what the record was before, so that way I could
see what was broken.
Apples to apples. But either way, it's crazy to think that someone like that who's been around longer could be toppled. Because
it's not far fetched to think, because we just were talking about the other day how PS4 just broke the $100 million units. So it's like
that's what's even crazier.
It's got to be the closest one to get to a Guinness record of shattering.
That's what's crazy to think about, is they had 2 other consoles before that, and they also had the Wii. They had all the handhelds, which are all the number 1 selling handheld, because it almost is their only handheld besides the PSP or the Vita, as valiantly as those tried. You know, the Wii
I wish they was
the number 1 selling console at that time too. So it's just crazy to see someone else who's been killing it and has 2+ consoles on top of that, beaten out by somebody else.
Yeah, the exciting news is what's going to happen in the future when we move into the next gen.
I don't think anyone will ever beat them. As long as they keep up
records set in stone.
As long as they keep up the steam that they're keeping now, how do you catch something like that?
Yeah,
it would have to take a phenomenon. Even though I did hear that the Switch was one of the best-selling items.
Yeah, Switch is a juggernaut, guys. So if you, take a look at some of the sales. I think it smashed all the Black Friday sales. Even though, and oddly enough, it was the only one that didn't have like a good Black Friday deal. No, it sold so much on Black Friday.
I even bought one though.
Finally, Drew's in the club. He's got one, but it only what did it come with? Mario Kart 8?
Mario Kart 8, and then I bought a controller too with it too, but the controllers were on sale, so I got one for like $20, a wireless one.
Nintendo's notorious for always being a dick dastardly dog. So, interesting stuff. Anything else you want to add on that before I jump into mine?
No. Go right ahead.
So, guys, if you are paying attention to most things we talk about, which you should, is the xCloud is something we like to, dabble with. It is now at the point where it is streaming now from your Xbox. So once upon a time it was just doing the I don't want to call it like the preview. It was just kind of doing the 50 games that you could do from your phone and check it out. Now it's actually pairing with your Xbox. Yeah, Andrew and I were just doing. You got to set up your Xbox. You got to make sure it's connected. And now it's actually mirroring it. So now you're at the point where it's playing a game here, stopping it, and then picking it back up from the Xbox One. Because Dante was over the other day and we were fucking around with it. We're getting there. We're almost there.
It's pretty cool to see it moving that fast.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I was impressed when they did the 50 games versus the 5 they initially started with. That was in 3 months. This was in 3 months. Like, this is moving quickly. By 2020, anyone that's not part of the preview program or you weren't part of the beta, it's right around the corner, and it's a stone throw away.
No, I think it's pretty cool, and actually it surprised me when he said that too. I was like, already? They just updated that?
Yeah, I was so edgy. I'm like, did you see that with your thing? He's like, no. I'm like, dude, check it out. It's there.
Yeah, no, I definitely haven't had the time to try that again.
So if you guys are part of that, look into it. And again, guys, give feedback, because feedback is what helps these guys develop and help them grow and help them, work out the bugs. So be a part of the solution. not a part of the problem. What else you got?
My next one related to Black Friday also was a bunch of people bought, and this is more of a funny story than like important or relevant. I just don't know how something like this happens, but a bunch of people who bought Switches, and a lot of people. I didn't look up a number, but they said it was.
I'm saying
they said it was a substantial amount of people who bought Switches from Amazon.
There were better deals on PS4s, and more people bought Switches.
Yeah,
think about that.
So the people who bought a certain deal, like it was like a little bundle from Amazon, weren't actually sent Switches. They were sent like a little kit that I think had like toothpaste, a toothbrush, and like condoms in it, and like some other stuff in it. And so it's just the most random shit. And I don't understand what mix-up at a warehouse got this weird, so a toothbrush condom bundle sent out versus, which I don't know why that's a bundle.
That's a conundrum.
Sent that out versus a Nintendo Switch. So either way, I just thought it was
who's being held responsible? Who's
Amazon? Amazon's fully.
It's all Amazon.
Yeah, they're fully going through and they're fixing everything and they're making sure it's right. I just thought it was a hilarious story because it's the most random thing to be like sending out to people.
Yeah, like how do you fuck that up? Like what shipping yard go? Okay, guys want Switches? Throw in a couple box of condoms.
Yeah,
like that doesn't make any sense. Dude, I would love to be. Or at least watch a video of somebody like this opening their fucking Xbox or whatever it is, and they just get a bunch of condoms.
Oh, I would love to be the guy who's like, hey, honey, can you grab my package? I ordered something over the weekend. Will you grab it? It's at the front door.
Yeah, that probably ended relationships. Amazon, thank you. Fantastic. Anything else on that?
No, that one was just hilarious.
Guys, my thing is, the next one I want to get into is, guys, December 10th, which is right around the corner. That's in a couple days. Not Xbox. Sony is doing their next State of Play, which is going to showcase, the next games, the next things they're going to be doing. They
haven't said yet, but...
The last one was really good until they fucked us over with Last of Us. So you're going to burn us on another game?
Yeah, no. Yeah. Show it off and then delay it a month later.
Yeah.
But I think you could see Resident Evil 3 at this because when it was data mined, it was uploaded to the PSN store showing that they would have to put something up. So if it's not at the Game Awards, why not add?
Which is on because the Game Awards are on the 12th, so this is on the 10th. So I would probably say that it'd be at both because I don't think everyone's aware of an online State of Play versus an award show.
Yeah,
and again, they're both low on the totem pole of people's unless you're a hardcore gamer, but they're right around the corner. I mean, these are literally next week stuff.
I just don't know what you could show at the State of Play that would be worth showing or be worth having one because you already did The Last of Us. You already announced that it's delayed now too, so there's nothing else that you could really show. What are you going to show more?
Especially after Xbox just hammered it out.
Are you going to show more gameplay at another State of Play? No, you would have to show something new, something fresh. Ghost of Tsushima, which is a lot further out. Who knows?
But this is on the back burner now because Last of Us got pushed.
This would be the perfect thing to get people talking and watch it. I would go through and I would watch a whole State of Play just to see the lead up to Resident Evil 3.
The other good thing about like when they do
which I'll be watching it anyways.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
They're usually 20 minutes long. So the Xbox one we watched, it was like what, an hour and a half, 2 hours,
something like that.
This one's only 20 minutes, so Sony knows how to burn it properly. Whether or not there's gonna be anything worth of weight, that's the argument to be had, and then we'll find that out in a couple days. So I think it's interesting. Mark it on your calendars. Have a chat with us when we talk about it.
Hey, maybe you can watch it, then watch this, and it will only take you less than an hour.
Oh.
But
fuck.
My final riff for the day is going to be that they came out in the same. I forgot who it was. I forgot to grab the note earlier. Came out and said that they still do have plans to do a discless Xbox Scarlet. And I know that was something that bummed a lot of people, and I see you shaking your head.
I already hate it.
But let me give you this. Let me give you this.
All right,
let me throw you a little something.
Throw me some cheese.
So the Xbox One S was just on sale right now for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. The discless one was on sale for $150.
$150.
So, and it plays the same games as the regular S. It's just a lot cheaper. Why not? That's a perfect place to jump in.
If you have internet.
With us now sharing our games all digital, all the games I buy now are digital. All the games we buy, all the games we buy now are digital. So if there was two consoles and one was $100, $200, whatever, if it's $50, I don't care. But if there's a big enough gap with how we buy every game digital now, wouldn't that entice you? Like, oh, I don't need the one that has to play the disc, unless what are you gonna do? Watch a DVD?
Well, the only counter argument I can say is something that I just recently went through was buying Control and returning it in 2 days because
right.
I don't mean it in a mean way. I'm not trying to take advantage of GameStop's return policy. But the game has no replay. The game's awesome. If you guys haven't played it, play it. It's a little glitchy, and I'll get into that later when we talk about what we've been playing. But the fact that I was able to get it, because there's no replay value, so like and nobody wanted to play it, so it's like, what am I going to do with this? Keep it on my shelf? I can't beat it again. I can understand
that. I can understand the argument.
But does $50 deter you from buying the full powered version versus
let me ask you this: how much was Control?
24 something.
Okay, so yeah, you might have gotten back the 24, but I think I saw a sale online for it for like $20. Or I could have just waited because it's not a game I'm dying for. That could come to
but I can't get my money back though on $20. That's what I'm saying. If I were to buy it digitally, it's done. I was able to buy it, return it. Again, it really just depends on how I guess how fast of a game beater you are, or
if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, or is that your content of play?
So either way, that's something that.
But it is interesting that Scarlett's is going to go, hey, we're going to do it in discless version. If you're not
if there was a big enough price gap and everything's exactly the same, specs are the same, that could definitely entice me. That could win me out. $50, no, I would just get it. I would pay the $50.
No, if the mark was 100 versus
then maybe
digital, I'd be all over it all digital because that's $100.
But adding on to that, Phil Spencer also tweeted that he now has brought his Scarlet home, which I'm sure it's not a finished Scarlet. It's just some Phil. Fucking thrown together.
This is classic Phil.
It's some thrown together Nemesis fucking thing while he's playing Resident Evil 3 at home. Not really, but he's probably playing whatever, testing it out either way. So it's out there. It's being tested. That's cool to see. I can't wait to see more of it, especially with the other PS5 shit.
I kind of want to throw this by you because I was listening to I think Podcast Unlocked or something like that. They were talking about how like Cyberpunk, how it's coming out. Obviously, March, April,
start of the year,
2020. Yeah. Is it worth getting sooner than waiting for the next gen?
I'm not a graphics person to where I would just play it right away, especially if it looks absolutely great. Same thing, Resident Evil 3, that is a game that's going to grab me. I will get that one.
Because I would say the same thing versus anyone that's playing an Xbox, day one versus an X. Because Gino was saying when you guys side by side Fallen Order, there was leaps and bounds in graphics. And he's like, I didn't know how bad it was until I saw the X next to it. But if you're never consciously aware of how bad it is, then why make the jump?
What I have to say to you is if that's your argument and you're like, oh, well, I should wait to play it on the Scarlet because it's going to look better, then don't get a Scarlet. Build your own PC and play it on there if that's what matters to you.
But
because you're going to wait a whole year to play a game because you think it's good, because it might possibly and should look better on something else when you could just play it on a PC which is already built to spec, built to premium, built to whatever. Like, that's the thing. I would rather just play it and enjoy it and play it at the time that's relevant so I can give you guys the news.
Exactly. So we can beat it, talk to you guys about it, and we can move on. So guys, Angel, let's do any of the riffs.
No, I'm done.
Okay, so let's move in. Oh, we're making beautiful time. All right, so Andrew, let's talk about a little bit what we're playing at the moment.
I'll go first because it's nothing special.
Okay, because we are. It's Christmas, right? We're getting no big games launched. This is backlog season.
I personally have not delved into that backlog.
No?
I've not started Bloodstained like I said I was going to, even though I was a little bit into it. I've just been playing lots of Call of Duty, and now
I haven't seen you on Call of Duty.
And now,
so I was like, at least someone's getting the bang for their buck.
And now that they dropped that new season 1 pass or whatever, I'm still even more into it, and I'm just like, man, there's so much cool shit. I'm still loving Call of Duty. I haven't spent this much time in a Call of Duty in a while. So
our camper's still a thing.
Oh my god, on Crash, it's fucking ridiculous. They brought back the classic map Crash. I've never in my life felt like that game was so fucking... And it depends on what game mode you're playing, but Jesus, dude. Oh, it's terrible. I fucking get so mad, but...
Yeah, because I've been seeing Arturo jump on, I've been seeing Mark jump on, I've been seeing Christian jump on. So you at least have a squad going on though, right?
Yeah, no, usually, I don't play by myself. I'll play with everybody else who's on. If at least one other person's on, I love running the doubles. That's my favorite thing. I love some gunfight.
So if you want to play Call of Duty,
yeah, if you're looking for it.
There. I went through a Smash session. I want
to ask you.
Oh, sure.
What are you playing?
So I just beat Darksiders 3, which I think
you ran through that game.
Last session or two.
Courtesy of the Game Pass.
Guys, get the fucking Game Pass if you do not have it. I went through it. I've talked about it before. It's a great game, man. I
saw you playing a little bit of it. I thought it was kind of cool that I was like, I might kind of want to play this.
I enjoyed it. It's got a very heavy Dark Souls vibe. I'm telling you, I think you'll dig it because if any of you guys are familiar with Darksiders, all of them are different style games. Like, it's not the same thing repeated.
This one look a lot different.
One of
them
them is like a hack and
yeah.
slash. The other one's kind of an RPG build up. The other one's kind of has that Dark Souls element to it. So all of them have their own taste. This one was actually, in my opinion, the hardest one. And I played it.
Where would you rank it?
In terms of
1, 2, and 3.
3, 1, 2.
Oh, nice.
And that's me.
3, 1 original or 1 remastered? Or mastered, sorry.
Mastered. Yeah, I would say 3. Well, I haven't played any of the new ones, though, so now I'm going to go back and do them. I would say check it out, guys. I like that storyline. I like the angel demon stuff. I like the biblical, angels and...
What ICP fan wouldn't?
What juggler wouldn't? So I did that. Beat it in 2 days, and then, like I was saying, on Black Friday, I picked up Control, beat that in 2 days. Like, I beat Darksiders on December 1st, I beat Control on December 3rd. So, I was smashing.
I did see that. I've been a little jealous, and like, damn, he's, like, crushing these games, and I'm just like, all right, cool, time to start something else. But then I see someone online, I'm like, Call of Duty.
Yeah, guys, Control, the main reason I wanted to get it, because when Andrew brought it up last week, that it's up for the VGAs, and I was just like... I was kind of disappointed because I'm like, did me and Andrew sleep on this game? The game is great. It's got a very like Hideo Kojima kind of storyline where like you need to watch this thing because if you miss something,
I love some of that. Yeah.
The only thing is, it's glitchy like a motherfucker. My Xbox crashed at least 3 times.
That's the most annoying.
Snap. My character froze, so that happened. But I will say, I think her name's. I hope I don't say it wrong. I think it's Jessie. Is it Jessie? She's badass. She was more of a badass than Cal was in Fallen Order.
Nice.
Like, she was a better Jedi than he was. So the gameplay is fantastic.
Would you say this was better than what's the last one they made that was for Xbox? I forget.
Quantum Break?
Yes, thank you.
No, I like Quantum Break better.
Quantum Break was good. I personally like Quantum Break.
Quantum Break was good. This game Remedy didn't let me down though. Except for how buggy it was. Like I haven't seen that many glitches since like Borderlands 3.
I think they put out something saying like, hey, this game's not selling exceptionally, but it's selling well enough for what we're wanting right now that it's not doing terrible. So, I mean, that's good. Like, it's doing okay, and that's kind of what we're expecting. And maybe that's what kind of studio they are. I think a lot of people, because they do get hyped and they do get the treatment when when they show things differently, like they did that whole thing with Microsoft and then they split, and I don't think that they see this as a mistake. And maybe the marketing wasn't the same. I'm mad about it is
like, I just hope they don't take this on the chin. Like, I hope they don't go, I'm saying, you guys undersold Control, but it's like, dude, Control's a good fucking game.
I was saying, maybe they're that studio that's okay with just making, like, good games, though. Like, we're just going to make good games, not exceptionals. We're not going to hammer you with A+. We're going to give you a B. Hammer you with B's and C's.
Oh, that Dan Ackerman book on that cover. But I guess the argument would be, you can't find a good game if no one's buying it. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a good game. It doesn't matter if you're a good game if you undersold. And Control's undersold like a motherfucker. Versus a Gears 5 that undersold, but everybody played because we have analytics on the Game Pass.
The analytics, and
analytics.
who knows? Maybe it could be a Game Pass game, and that's when I'll try it.
I would say, guys, give Control a try.
I'm surprised I don't think Quantum Break's on the Game Pass.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it wasn't. Okay, so I was going to say.
Yeah,
I would like to see Control on the Game Pass, and then that's when I will jump in.
Nice.
But I've also got a million other things to do. So
what's next for Andrew?
What's in? Hopefully.
You're not going to do nothing on the Switch?
Oh, no, because I bought my Switch. Actually, I want to buy a nice Super Luigi U or Super Mario Deluxe or something.
Well, you have
so
a
me
nice
and Christina
case.
can play that I just got today, courtesy of someone else for
Big Handsome.
Nice present. So, yeah, no, I want to get like a nice Super Mario Deluxe or like a U, just a nice side-scroller 2-player game that we can play together. And then I'll actually probably buy that Zelda because it is my favorite Zelda of all time, that I'm just going to go ahead and get it and keep it for myself. So I have my own copy.
And I
was looking online today to see if I can find a collector's edition.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I can just buy that.
Any leaks? Any leaks?
I didn't find anything today worth really my time, but yeah, no. I'm working, unfortunately, on a Saturday, so that's kind of my day tomorrow.
My only thing that I have to do in December is beat Call of Duty Veteran campaign. Like, I put it on the back burner just to play those 2 games, and I'm like, okay, now I got to do it. So that's what's next for me, guys. The question is, what's next for you? We're almost done with 2019.
What is
guys.
next for them?
Yeah.
It could be any of 3 games on their brand new PlayStation 4.
So guys, if you want to win a PlayStation 4, make sure you watch this episode and you watch the last ones, and you make sure you pay attention to all the episodes that are part of the PS4 giveaway that is giving you God of War, that is giving you Last of Us Remastered, that is giving you Horizon Zero Dawn.
That Thanksgiving one does not say episode on it, but it is a part of the PS4
it's
giveaway.
an entry-centric, guys, so make sure you watch, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you put hashtag PS4, because that is how Andrew and I find you guys, because we're not digging through all the comments.
And the easiest way for
have a
you
generator.
to find us is to hit that notification button, because then we'll show up in your feeds like that, and you can just add us to the watch later. And whenever you're done watching all your Game of Thrones clips on YouTube,
whenever you're Gordon Ramsay chicken wing videos,
I get lost in I'm lost in Gordon Ramsay and Pawn Stars right now. Can't find my way out.
So guys, until next time, my name is Craig Perales. That is Mandrew Montemayor. Cheers.
And we had a new top speedrunner, and his name is me. And it was the dude. And I was like, oh fuck, man, that was really fucking cool. So now I follow his channel too, outside of
Again, like I said, I don't discredit anyone that does it. It's just when I beat a game,
I don't like doing that.
I don't want to break the game. I'd like to beat it.
Actually, sometimes I like doing that stuff, because like when I did, when I did my Resident Evil 2 ones, like just fucking around with it instead of just running around with it.
One thing if you've beaten the game and then you do it.
Oh yeah,
that's what I think end game stuff is supposed to be. Now you can fuck with it. You play whatever.
I would never do it just based off. I always beat the game first, and then I'll do shit
and then
like
fuck
that.
with it. Yeah,
dude,
I'm
doing that Resident Evil one and trying to learn the shit did. So like, what I had to do is to skip the entire like first part of the game and get like down into the sewers. Is there's a staircase you go up, you gotta shoot a zombie, get it to where it's just its legs, and make sure no other zombies attack you, get it to bite you just right, and your dude does like a kick, and it throws him a little bit forward, like, I'm trying to get this thing off me, and take a step forward.
Just right.
You do it just right, and you end up on the air over, like, this is the stair rail, you end up on the air over the stair rail, you drop down, you go over, and normally if you try to walk over this part of the map, it breaks because like the woods are just old, like that's part of the game, and then you do whatever and you have to find another way around. So it drops you down, but because you're already lower than what it would have been, but hovering, it drops you below the map. And then you like run, dude, some of the shit they did on there,
and
it's
how did they
crazy.
find that? Who found that?